So this time I'm going to be doing the first of the two figures in the MattyCollector.com 2-pack Animal Man and Bwana Beast. And we're going to start with Animal Man, or Bernard Buddy Baker, who makes his first appearance in Strange Adventures number 180 in 1965. This is a very nice sculpt. I'm very happy with it. It's a little hard to tell from the photographs just how good it was going to be. Now, I do have some issues with as you can see, his legs are very loose with regards to there, but once you get out to here, they're very tight. So it's hard to move him out, but when you're in close, they're so loose that he's flopping about. And another thing, I don't know if you can see it, but the goggles, you can see through to the eyes, except on this one, on this one, the face is obscured by, I can't tell if it's paint or plastic, but it's underneath the goggles, in between the clear plastic and the plastic molded head, which is a nice mold. I must say, get those nice, maybe you can see those wrinkles in the forehead and his dimples, but they did a very nice sculpt on the face. Nice job on the jacket with the coloring. Really brings it alive. It's of course not a leather jacket. Very important to note. You can see all the buttons and the zipper. Very nice with his stylized A underneath. He has all the usual DC Direct articulation. His arms, though, are pretty much blocked by the jacket, but that's very little. A fair amount of poses from him still, so that's not that big a deal. He's got the bicep swivel. Again, it does break up the mold, or the sculpt some. The paint at some of the edges is uneven, but it's very hard to tell. In fact, I don't think my camera is even picking it up. There's not that much to be worried about, and he stands up, even with those loose legs, he stands up and supports his weight, pretty well. As for accessories, well, he doesn't have any. Now, pre-crisis, Buddy is just some guy who is out hunting and came across this spacecraft that exploded, and it bathed him in this radiation, and from then on he could mimic the abilities of any animal. And he makes a couple of appearances early on in the Silver Age, but then really pushed aside until the early 80s in Superman, where he joins the Forgotten Heroes, which is a bunch of lesser-known Silver Age heroes that band together. Post-Crisis, his origin gets tweaked. And what happens, you see, he's again a young guy who's just investigating the inside of a crashed spaceship when something happens inside the spaceship, gives him powers. And he uses these powers to try and be a superhero, but he doesn't really succeed at it. So he then uses them to become a stuntman in Hollywood. He eventually marries his high school sweetheart, Ellen. They have a son, Cliff, and a daughter, Maxine. And that's when Grant Morrison sort of takes it from there and takes off with the character. He encounters Buona Beast, his companion piece in the 2-pack. From then on, he decides that he's going to become a vegetarian and a animal rights activist. So he starts getting all these animal rights, you know, free animals from labs and anti-fur stuff. And one of these activities rattles this big conspiracy, and they target him, and not only him but his family too. They kill his family. After his family dies, he's really lost. He goes on this vision quest to figure out what his role is. It's then that high on peyote, he, going through this vision quest, he breaks the fourth wall and sees the reader. And I tell you, when I read that issue, that was just mind-blowing. I mean, that is probably the best Grant Morrison story I've ever read. And all of his Animal Man stuff is collected in 3 volumes. So I highly suggest you check the web, comic book stores, bookstores for those volumes, because it is some great stuff. But anyway, back to Animal Man. He breaks the fourth wall, is able to see the reader of the comic book. He goes to comic book limbo, where he meets all these forgotten and silly and stupid characters that people want to forget. They stay until a writer seizes on the character and brings him out. He then actually meets Grant Morrison, and he explains to him why he's been through all the stuff that he's been through, and that he's leaving the book and a new writer is coming on. And it's very, I guess the word now is called meta. I hate that term. And that ends the Grant Morrison storyline. From then on, it kind of loses its way. I mean, he dies and then is reborn, and as an elemental, like Swamp Thing was. Morrison starts his run on Justice League of America, or JLA. He brings Animal Man back, and from there he goes into Infinite Crisis as part of the investigation into what's going on in outer space. He joins Donna Troy, and then he's into 52, and he's with Adam Strange and Starfire, and fighting the Lady Styx, and her sentient virus that comes out of 52 and Countdown to Adventure. And just recently in Blackest Night, he became a Black Lantern because of his death was used by Neron. So he's now a Black Lantern. He can mimic any animal abilities. Now, he doesn't grow wings, or when he's flying, or he doesn't grow gills when he's swimming in the water. So it's not exactly just exactly what is going on when his powers activate. The ability that he has is always proportional, particularly with regards to small animals like insects or birds or moles. However, when he mimics a larger creature, those powers are never diminished. That's just one of the things that occurs with the character, because it's cooler that way. So that's it for Animal Man. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be on Buona Beast. Thank you, and see you.